So I'm working on this doghouse. It's been a little bit of a process, but we're in the finishing stages now, and so we were looking at a way to kind of highlight some walls on this thing. What we noticed is we were getting a lot of stained wood, which is pretty and fine. It was just getting a little bit too much, a little monochromatic. So we wanted a way to highlight a few walls and give it more of a weathered, old barnwood kind of look. So we decided whitewashing. And so this video is going to show you how we went from a plain wall to a whitewashed wall to eventually the look we wanted. This doghouse is kind of a convertible deal where the summertime, wintertime application. So this wall hasn't been finalized out yet. It's just got the whitewash. We took it a step further, and I'll show you how we did that to kind of tone this wall down a little further. So while researching how to figure out how to do whitewashing, I've never done it before. What I figured out is you can create almost any look you want. There's a myriad of ways to use this product. I'm using the Whitewashing Wood stain whitewash or pickling finish, and that's a good product. We did a few samples to kind of get an idea of what we wanted to do. These are simply just different color stains with different amounts or different techniques on how we whitewashed them. And they all turned out fine, and that may be all you need to do. These are simply, you wipe on the stain, depending on how long you leave it on, depends on how much stain is soaked into your original grain and how much coverage you get over your original stained wood. And again, these are fine. They may look just fine for whatever you want to do. We wanted a little more streaked, weathered appearance, so I'll show you how we did that. But we started off with using, like I said, the Minwax pickling stain, and then I use foam brushes, cheapo little foam brushes, and chip brushes, which have that, you know, that real thick, wiry kind of horsehair. So it's not a real clean brush, and that's what we want. We want something that's a little raw. I'm set up underneath there and ready to start showing you all this process. I've got my chip brushes, I've got some foam brushes, and I've got my whitewash all mixed up and ready to go. So I'll start with a foam brush just to kind of show you a quick and easy layer on top of here. So get a little bit, not too much, on your foam brush and go to work and just try to get you a little bit of coverage on your board here. This stuff goes in, soaks in quick. So if you want to kind of leave that streaky appearance, you can see immediately give it a quick wipe, get rid of some of your streaks. Leave it just like that, or you can keep experimenting. You can see some areas that don't look quite as good, maybe get down in the grooves a little bit. Take your time, have some fun, and just get a little bit of coverage on this wall. A lot of times it could be good enough right there. But then what I'll come back and do again, and a lot of times, is go ahead and add some streaks with a chip brush. Get a chip brush, get a little bit of paint on it, and I'm just gonna kind of real lightly kind of hit some spots. I hope you can see that. We'll go down a little bit, just to add a little bit of layering to this thing. Again, it doesn't take long before you'll see that stuff. You won't be able to get it off. So you see areas that you don't like or a little too heavy, just hit them quick, knock them down. There's like a real light touch here, just barely hitting it with this cloth. And that's pretty much it. That's our first board. So I'll keep going and show you all a few more. What I like to do is try to go different on each one. So on this one I'm going to go real heavy on the white. Get it on there as fast as I can, and I'm going to immediately come back in here and rub this down. And I may leave it just like that. Won't even come back and streak this one. Just kind of leave it like it is. Take the next one, maybe mix it up. Go to your chip brush and just get some streaking going. Maybe go super heavy in one spot, a little light here, heavy again, and then light again. Just kind of mix it up, play with it, see what you like. Like I said, you don't have long. If you make mistakes, you want to clean it back up. It's going to soak into that product really fast. All right, a couple more. Back in with the chip brush immediately. And you can tell just kind of smacking it against the board. See what happens down here. Some clean wood. Just gives you some light streaking on that. We've got a lot of areas that are still exposed, and the idea is to kind of give that appearance that this has taken many, many years to accomplish. Give that a few seconds. Give it a quick wipe. Sometimes you may even feel like, oh man, I wiped too much. No harm, no foul. Just get your brush back out and give it a light streaking. Sometimes I'll hit some spots. I'll even go kind of give it some angular strokes on it. Don't always go straight with the grain. You don't want to go sideways, cross grain, but you know, giving a little angle here and there, you might find you create a little different look. And that's basically it. We'll continue on and we'll finish this wall, let it dry real well, and then we'll take the final step to what we like. I finished the wall we were working on, and a little close-up action here. So this is still drying, but you should be able to kind of get the feel for some grain variation, some areas where a little heavier areas, lighter areas, some of the original stain still peeking through. Take maybe 20 minutes to do that wall. And so get some better light on this situation over here so you can see. So this wall is a dried version of what we just did. Stayed the same exposures peeking through, some whitewash, heavier in areas than others. But what we noticed that we just thought it's just too white. I think it was going to be too stark for what we wanted. So as you can see from this point up, you see more of an earth tone, darker, better browns peeking through than the really stark white. You see it better as you get away. So we wanted more of these earth tones to blend in better with some of the other stuff we had going. So what we discovered was the whitewash will take a stain. So after this whitewash product dries, you can actually come back and do a light wipe. You don't want to go too heavy, but you can actually wipe over this with your original base stain, and it'll pick those colors up and get your whitewash to be a little more of a brown wash, if you will. It's subtle, but as you see it on the whole wall, it can make a pretty big difference. Another idea is to sand it down a little bit. So you can sand some of the whitewash back off of what you just did. As long as it's dried up good, no problem. So sand it down a little bit and then hit it with a rag with some light staining on it. And I'll show you that process right now. Alright, so I took that side panel off that was already whitewashed and dried. So we can kind of show you, but when you get up close you can see, you know, maybe there's some areas that don't look so natural. You know, some of these brush strokes on the end could probably use a little help. And again, just the overall appearance of this was a little too white. So I've got a little handheld rabbit set up, 220 grit paper, really easy grit on that, and I'm going to just go over the surface of it with it to knock some of this off and kind of smooth out some of the areas that don't look quite as good as I would hope for. Alright, so I've got a little bit of my original base stain on a rag, and I've actually let it sit here for a couple of minutes. I don't want it sopping wet. I don't want it to push a lot of stain back on here because I don't want to just turn this into restaining it. So I'll try to work in this area here. You can see kind of the idea of it. Just very lightly re-hit these areas with some stain. You see how that is kind of taking that and adding more of the brown back in that we took away with the whitewash. Hopefully not too heavily, and you'll hit those exposed areas a little harder. And then again, you can quickly rub, just like you do any stain, to take it back down. But I'm going to just gently apply this stuff and try to hit and get those areas to start taking some of this dark brown stain back into the wood that we took away originally. You can see it's not easy. You know, there's parts of your rag may be heavier with stain than others. Don't be afraid to wipe and try again. But you can see it's starting to soften. Hopefully you can tell it's starting to kind of soften this area and not quite as white. And we're going back to a little more of the natural tones of the original stain. So we're going to keep rubbing that down a little bit. Try to hit these high areas. You can see some of that brown back in play. And I've worked on about a 1-by-1 area here, so that hopefully if we pan out with the camera you can tell, kind of get an idea of what it's doing. Still keeping the whitewash on there, but the whitewash is taking the stain as well. And that's going to give you a whole nother look. You see in this area we're getting more of an earth tone color back in play than just the stark white. So I finished the wall we were working on and put it back, that panel back in place against the wall that was mismatched before. So you can see we've got more brown tones on this wall as opposed to the whiter appearance on this wall. Let's step back here, maybe get a better comparison, but it's just a slight difference, bringing in a little more earth tones on the right opposed to the starkness of the white wall there. Again, we'll get a little closer, get you some idea of tone. It's a cool look.